organization, and I've seen it always been driven by data. But what is changed is the technology which is now enabled it to actually make use of this data much better, to collect the data in larger amounts. And really our journey started in this pure digital sort of play with our dealer management system, the DMS, which we started in 2004. So that's the place where we started. And as you know, Maruti Suzuki has a lot of transaction with customers. We are in auto industry. Customers buy our products, usually keep it for 7 to 10 years. In between, they have a lot of transactions, insurance, financing, extended warranty, accessories, oil changes, and so on and so forth. We track, we have this DMS tracks all transactions. Okay. So from 2004, we have almost like 2.5 crore consumers having multiple transactions, and we have that huge database with us, which we have organized. But that's transactional. Now, we are also, what technology is enabling us is also have interactional data, which means if consumers, these are like unknown consumers who are like interested in our products, maybe they go to some website, maybe they have some social media, posts, etc. So there are other elements also that we are now tracking, which is the interactional data. So transactional data through DMS, interactional data, we are now combining into a platform called the CDP, the Customer Data Platform, having a single view of consumer, which means I would now know a consumer as a whole of sum of all the transaction and the interactions he or she may have had.
With Maruti.
With Maruti Suzuki, and in fact, sometimes outside Maruti Suzuki also. Because Maruti, the transactional part is pure Maruti, of course. So that has enabled us to understand consumers much better. And I mentioned, helps us do things like lead optimization, even finding out, the churn prediction, the upselling. And I'll give you examples. 2005, there was one consumer who bought a Wagon R. We had been tracking that customer. He's in Delhi, stays in Green Park, and we know the family history also, because we keep track of number of kilometers he runs and number of times he comes. We keep asking about the family, etc. Our analytics told us, and that's also happened because of technology. It's not that somebody's doing it, it's being done automatically. We have now a lot of data collection, and we run analytics on it. AI makes it possible, ML makes it possible. We got a sense from the output of that analytics saying that his daughter would be passing out of college probably around some year, which was 2017 and 2018. And she was actually studying in Gargi College, doing economics. We approached her because we know most people, when they pass out of college, get into a job and they buy a car. She was planning to buy a competitor car. It was a hatchback. We said, why not try a Wagon R again, because your father is so happy with it. He's given some very high ratings. We showed her the ratings his father had given. And she said, no, it's a car of my father had bought. I don't want. So we told him what the new Wagon R was. And she actually bought that new Wagon R.
Wonderful.
So in a normal situation, probably we would never have approached her this way. I can give several examples. For example, now we have a Suzuki Connect, which collects data online of while the car is running. So we know how many times somebody has braked, or how many times somebody has accelerated or gone past the speed limit, etc., etc. It helps us in doing predictive maintenance. Normally, brake pads are replaced after 20,000 kilometers, but there are some consumers we are approaching who have been braking too often, and we say, see, you must check your vehicle for brakes at 10,000. And we do it. And they're surprised at why you are making us check at 10,000, because you are braking too much, too often. And they always say, you know, Google tracks everybody, and so I am very suspicious of Bhaskar, that he's always tracking me. He told me today that I had Rajma Chawal in the flight, and I was really surprised how he knew till I found out that he was tracking actually the Vistara lunch menu. So that
True.
yeah. But I told him that I was also tracking him because I know he's, for example, I know from his social media this thing that he's a avid Chelsea fan. I know that. Now, how does it help me? If Chelsea lost yesterday, and he comes to my showroom today, he will have a different mind frame. If probably Chelsea won, I would sell him a higher amount of accessories, and it's true. Of course, I didn't want to reveal Bhaskar too much, but you know, he has not been wearing his seatbelt yesterday. So I told him that, and his driver has overspeeded 4 times on his way to Goregaon, where he stays, from South Bombay, from BKC, where you work. So we keep track of that, and there are a lot of examples which we can give, which helps us upsell, cross-sell, even lead optimize. And Bhaskar, I just take one more example. This thing. For example, we are now doing experiment on, not Bhaskar's example. If you are hoping for another this thing of Bhaskar, I have a lot of information though. But you know what happens is in a showroom we are also trying an experiment of looking at the retina movement. So if a group of, suppose a family comes in, we can actually find out what is their real interest, and it helps us in interaction. You can also find out whether, you know, in the family, who is the decision maker. Of course, you may say, if that's easy, everybody knows it's the lady who's the decision maker. But you'll be surprised. Sometimes, you know, it is the kids who are actually the decision makers. So we have that data which we analyze, and with Suzuki Connect, we can actually track retina movement during driving, which can tell us on an online basis that you are distracted. So if you are too often looking around or you are drowsy, you can actually, we have not yet implemented it, but we can actually tell you that it's time to rest and keep the vehicle you know, in a stationary condition for some time so that you can be safer.
Thank you, Shashank-san. And at Google, we say, in God we trust, rest all bring data. So all the stories are to just make a point, guys. So it's not about the facts right now. But I think it's wonderful. I'm a big believer in the fact that in India, the big companies have the ability to move fast. And listening to you, Shashank-san, the way you are now talking about lifetime value, it's not like a startup, it's a very different perspective. Ability to kind of persuade users, and even like looking predictive modeling for insurance, and you know, and all of it. Almost the car is like a computer on wheels when it comes to the data mindset. No, it's fascinating. So Jennifer, like, where did this journey begin for you guys? Like, data is the mindset. So you started with almost like a startup mindset, and then you wanted to expand into retail. So how does it work in Carrot Lane?
So we were, of course, born digitally. We are a digitally native brand, but you know, in India, jewelry is a category where you want to try the jewelry before you buy. In fact, most of the brands are now opening retail stores, right? Because you can scale up to a certain level digitally. But for high value products, people do want to see the product before they buy. And now we have more than 160 stores. But we are still digitally native because, of course, because we are a digital brand, there is abundance of data available. But all of that is also backed by a lot of consumer insighting. So the data will tell you something, but why that consumer behaves in a certain way, we cannot complete the narrative without speaking to consumers. So we definitely back all the data with a lot of consumer insighting. And we use the digital data. So we don't consider it as offline and online. What the change that we have done in our philosophy in the last few years is that it's just basically one consumer view, and the consumer is moving through the channels. There is no consumer who will have a very simple journey, right? She comes online, she discovers the design, she goes back to a store to check something out, and she'll definitely come back online and do a try at home and complete her journey. So it's not so black and white. So I think these are all just channels for her to engage with the brand. And what technology has done for us is like, the example that he was giving, a single view of consumer is so important. And many of us have browsed certain brand websites online and walked into a store, but the stores will have no idea of what the website does, for example. But we feel that being present online and being present offline is omni, but it's actually enabling that beautiful journey without any friction. So I see something on the website, I walk into the store that's close to my home, and that design is present, and I can pick it up there, or it can be dispatched to my house in 2 hours. I think that single view is what technology is enabling us. Data was always there, but how do you, look at a larger narrative by seeing how the various dots are joining is what we are making more use of the data for right now.
Right. And like one of the things that we keep coming across is that users are expecting companies to responsibly collect data, right? Like what are the, how do you decide what to collect and what to deploy and what to use? Are there any principles you follow, and so what's the most important data point for you?
So we have a very simple formula that, like I was telling you earlier, that is this going to help me solve my consumer's problem or make her life better in any way? When it comes to our category, then of course we ask her for that data. So one of the things that we really focus on is capturing the PIN code of the consumer, because it's a big enabler for giving her a great experience. So if she's browsing from a certain PIN code, CaratLane can actually tell you which designs are available in a certain kilometer radius from where you are browsing. And since 50% of our transactions are for gifting, time plays a very important role. So you want something which is delivered in, say, 24 hours, or if you want to walk into a store, then you want to know which is, you don't want to see, and many times we love something and then you say it's not available. You don't want that friction in the consumer's life. So PIN code, birthday, anniversaries are something which, help us make the consumer's journey better, because jewelry plays a big role in anniversary gifting. So if we can make that experience beautiful for the customer, so that's why they're happy to give us that information, and then we enable something easy for them. So we normally say that we're not in the business of manufacturing or creating jewelry, but we are in the business of helping people express their emotions. And we look at every data point through that lens. Will this help the consumer express their emotions in a better way? And if there's value that the customer sees, she's going to give us that data.
That's beautiful. I think you're saying you go back to your mission and you collect data in context of the mission and see whether it is helpful or not.
Because that will then keep you constantly help you deliver that vision or,
I know I'm a little mindful of time as well, so we'll keep the next set of questions a little quicker. So Shashank-san, like, what is the role of partners and in this journey of your transitioning, from being mindful of being data decisions, but more granular, as you're saying, towards lifetime value and all. What is the role of partners in this journey, and what do you recommend, for other companies who want to take the same course?
Yeah, so for auto industry, I can talk about, because while we have spoken about the single view of consumers, we in the auto industry also have what we call single view of vehicle, which means the vehicle might change hands.
View of vehicle?
Vehicle, yes. So we track the vehicle view also, because that is very important for a resale value or for extended warranty or the oil consumption or the fuel efficiency calculations and so on and so forth. So there is a value in tracking not just SVOC, which is single view of customer, but also having a single view of vehicle. And that makes the operation in auto a little more complex, because we have to track a lot more data beyond the just collecting something information about consumers or consumer choices. Regarding the partner, and therefore, as you can imagine, the role of partners is very, very big. And we have partners in many fields related to this. Google, of course, big, in fact, I would say almost 60-65% of our engagement is through Google. The Meta is there. We have Sprinkler. We have others also, like for chat box. We have a different. We have Rezo, and so on and so forth. What we really look for is, because in each aspect, Maruti Suzuki is not really an expert. So we are looking at very good expertise, global exposure, a speed of operations for the partners, their innovation, and the fact that we can partner together with a futuristic mindset. And that, I believe, comes from real global experiences, which is the first criteria we have when we are partnering in this progress on digital.
And thank you, and it's been a privilege to be partnering on the other side, because the work with Maruti really like shapes the industry, so we're really privileged. So Jennifer, again, just to what partners do you guys work with, right? Are they more digitally native, or startup world, or how do you?
I think the traditional big twos, obviously, with Google and Meta, because a lot of our advertising is digital, because we want the consumer to discover the brand online and then go to the channel of choice. We're building a lot of the expertise in-house as well, because you want to use the first-party data in a way that's most beneficial to you and your consumer. And I think where partners also need to look at is how you can customize the products to meet the business requirements, because like we want to personalize to our customers, just like that our partners need to mold their offerings, because each consumer journey in every category is very different. The nuances are very different. So I think partners who help us, again, get a unified view of the consumer, because it's not like I want a chat bot only to, say, manage my Google My Business chats, right? Because the consumer doesn't differentiate between the chat option. She wants the seamless integration across. So I think that's why a lot of the solutions we are building in-house, because it's a complex business, and that's where partners need to identify how can I customize my solution for a certain product or category.
And just to reflect this, I was thinking it as a last question. Like, if you reflect on your journey, are there any mistakes that you felt that need to be looked upon in for larger in this journeys, that these are like not easy journeys? Do you see any sort of checklist for people to be more aware?
I think blindly looking at data and taking actions is the biggest red flag, because like I was telling you, that if you keep cutting and slicing the data, eventually it will show you what you want it to show you. So backing it with real consumer insights and speaking to consumers on why, understanding the why behind any data point. And there are always layers, like, at a point, attribution is such a big challenge for brands. And if you go purely sometimes by attribution data, you are not able to understand the impact the other touch points have on a consumer's life cycle. So the biggest advice I would give other brands and people who are beginning their digital journey, that this transformation does not happen overnight, and data should always be backed by real consumer insights, because you should be able to answer why a consumer or a data point behaves in a certain way.
Yeah, thank you. And Shashank-san, I'm sure a lot of your internal team members and even partners keep sharing lots of data with you. Hey, these are the trends, etc. So how do you sift through that from an insight to a data deluge of sorts? How do you look at?
So as she rightly pointed out, it's not just the data, but the insight that you get from it, and what is the basis for that insight. And we have, of course, a lot of investments done in software side as well as the hardware side and the teams. We have analytic teams separately. We have who do this work, and they tell us what that data means and what actionable points can emerge. And in fact, we have been shifting. For example, we are using this for not just pushing product or services, mobility services, but also in terms of optimizing, for example, marketing spends. And I think we have also, to your previous question, made a lot of mistakes. But we have now in place a structure where you need investments both in software and hardware is one part, and most importantly in people.
Yeah.
And I think changing the mindset, especially of the top management, which includes us, is actually the most important. And sometimes, you know, we are slow at it. I think we have been slow in some ways. So yes, that's how we try to manage the data deluge. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And just to, I think it's a great point you said. It's a change is a mindset, and it starts at the top. A single view of the customer is the most important one to look at. Even single view of the vehicle is a very interesting lens as well. That depends on the industry. The third thing I picked up is that not go with channel centricity when it comes to data, but go towards more consumer centricity. And partners need expertise, global exposure, speed, and innovation to help large companies succeed. So thank you so much. With that, we can take a couple of questions and before wrapping it up. Any questions? Yeah.
You know, actually a while back when we launched the report on leveraging use of consumer data, we were just talking about how underutilized the data tech stacks are within organizations, whilst there are investments made, but utilization of those stacks is not optimal, or to a point where often people are not even trained and don't even know how to really access and benefit from it. So the question is, because both of you are very evolved and doing a lot with these stacks, do you guys put together some processes or any governance to ensure that you're really optimizing these investments and making it work in your favor? I mean, both of you could give me a point of view.
Yeah, I think that it's a very valid point, honestly, that sometimes we just set up systems, but we don't know how to utilize their data. At least in CaratLane, we normally begin meetings putting up the data. So there is all our, our organization OKRs are based around the data that we have set up these systems to show us. So it's a top-down approach. All organization KRAs, everything is in a dashboard. So nothing moves without looking at them. You have to review them on a weekly and daily basis. I think it's in a DNA to build that DNA. It's the top-down approach. When you look at these metrics on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you start going back to that data and using it. So I think it's about how your organization's business goals are born out of this data. Only then you'll have the desire to go back and pull out that information and see it. So it has to be directly linked to what you're chasing as a business. And I think then automatic the usage of the data will go up.
Makes sense. That's a good one. Wow. Shashank, your views?
Yes, similar actually. Everything is driven by the final outcome. And in that sense, any good organization has that lighthouse to navigate for, which is to get the results, and also look at our cost structure, what is something which is unnecessary. Although I must say, this journey on the digital aspect, I think there would be occasions where you will invest and not get immediate returns, because you might be collecting some data which you will not be immediately using. As long as you are aware of it and hope to use it or imagine that you can use it, it's fine, I think. And there is lots of it with us, which we hope in future we'll be using it for our achieving our goals in the market.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And I just want to wrap up with one thing, that when we did some recent work, 9 out of 10 users, digital users in India, have moved on to hybrid journeys. And if there are two companies, Maruti, Suzuki, and the Tata Group largely are really pushing the envelope on making these hybrid journeys and omni-channel journeys work. So I'm grateful to all the partnerships so far, but thank you so much for your tips.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, our request Prashant Kumar, MMA India co-chair and CEO, South Asia Group M, to please come forward and present a token of appreciation to this wonderful, wonderful session person. Thank you so much, and request, sir, to please present the vote of thanks.
Thank you. Great. This is the usual ritual of thanking everybody for being here. But I think it is, I hope the sessions were quite, indulged in a good, interesting topic, which is the entire evolving data landscape in the country. And I'm sure, many sessions actually also got indulged into multiple examples of, how many companies and many partners are actually working on it and actually bringing that to make some data winning organizations, right? Data winning strategies and organizations. I think the journey is not a very easy journey. I think there will be a lot of, as some of the speakers mentioned here, a lot of examples, a lot of experiments, etc. The learning is continuous, right? And from MMA, our goal is to get to these insights, examples, and help marketers to get on with the journey and make them successful. So many thanks for every speaker, every partner who has been associated with this, and to all of you to be a part of this. And I'm sure we have the evening left, so request all of you to join us, for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of everyone from MMA India, let's remind each other that this may be the end of today's event, but undoubtedly this is a new beginning. I would also like to thank our partners once again. This event has been co-powered by Google, Meta, Zap Ads, Hansa Security, Kantar, HT1. Knowledge partner is EY. Marketing partner is WeServe. Event partner is Tantra. Digital partner is Waze. And PR partner is Avian Media. Please do follow us on social media as well as displayed on the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, we would now let me tell you that the bar is open and I would not stand between you and the bar, and we would like to host you for more conversations on data over wine and cheese. So please do join us and feel free to engage with the speakers, the moderators, the panelists one-on-one. Thank you so much and have a great evening ahead. Thank you.